Disney has some of the best theme parks in the world, and there are Disney parks all over the world.
But perhaps the two most famous Disney resorts are Walt Disney World Resort in Florida and Disneyland Resort in California.
It can be a major decision to decide which Disney vacation spot is just right for you. So today we are putting Disney World and Disneyland head to head to find out which Disney resort is the best once and for all.
Things are gonna get spicy.
I'm nervous. So we are typically here in Walt Disney World, Orlando's massive 4-park resort, but we do have some serious love in our hearts for Walt Disney's original park, Disneyland Park, and the additions that have come to the resorts in the recent years.
Disneyland Resort all started with Disneyland Park, Walt Disney's original theme park, which opened in 1955. Today, it has 2 theme parks, Disneyland and Disney California Adventure, 3 hotels, the downtown Disney shopping and dining district, and more.
The resorts have some similarities and a lot of differences. Nowadays, they actually feel like 2 totally different vacations. So, which one is better?
Right off the bat, it's a whole lot smaller than Disney World here, which means there's a lot less to do. But there's also the nostalgia and history factor that Disneyland has that makes a lot of people prefer it. But how much bigger is Disney World really?
Walt Disney World has 4 parks, tons of hotels, restaurants, and even more. It is massive, 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 with millions of visitors each year. It opened here in 1971 after the success of Disneyland and was a lot more ambitious than the original Disney park and has just grown since then. Disney World is known for being absolutely huge and complex. It is a popular vacation destination for people around the world, and it is notorious for being a little bit complicated to plan for. So Disney World is much bigger than Disneyland, and that's just putting it lightly. So when it comes to comparing the two and which one is better, if that's even a thing, we're gonna have to break it down into a few categories. So let's start with rides. Both parks have a lot of the same rides, and although they're the same, they're not necessarily identical. So we're gonna pick a few Disney World winners, a few Disneyland winners, and there might be even a few that we can't decide which one is better.
Fantasyland has a number of rides that are very similar between Disneyland and Disney World. For one, they actually have Snow White's Enchanted Wish, which is an updated version of Snow White's Scary Adventure, which used to be in Disney World but is not any longer. Now Disney World's Snow White ride is Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. So those are kind of the 2 different ones now. I prefer Enchanted Wish. Some people prefer Mine Train. Peter Pan's Flight is also here. They're pretty much exactly the same ride, but Disney World has a heavily interactive indoor queue. Tends to also have longer waits, but that indoor queue is pretty awesome. As for the carousel, this is King Arthur Carousel. In Disney World, it's Prince Charming Regal Carousel, so the carousels always tend to go with the castle, which is pretty cool, but basically they're just a carousel. Except this one, Julie Andrews has a horse on it.
Better.
And that's just better.
For a win in Walt Disney World is the Mini Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. So the Mini Adventures of Winnie the Pooh is a slow-moving dark ride journey through the 100-acre wood. You get to see a lot of your friends like Pooh and Rabbit and Piglet, and it's a lot of fun, but it's very similar to the one over in Disneyland. However, this one stands out a little bit more. This ride is a newer version and replaced Mr. Toad's Wild Ride here in Magic Kingdom. However, this one is just lovable. Like, I love this ride. It is cute, it's small, it's a little bit longer than the Disneyland version, and the story is slightly different. There aren't a ton of major differences, but just as far as length and quality goes, I think the Disney World wins by far.
Pirates of the Caribbean is, of course, a ride here in Disneyland as well as Disney World. This one is my favorite ride in Disney World, and it's a blast here as well. It's actually a longer attraction here. Both iterations of the ride are a journey into the past to the golden age of piracy, and have been updated to include characters from the Pirates of the Caribbean films that were originally based on these rides. So you'll see Jack Sparrow. The one here is much longer than the one in Disney World, and for that reason, a lot of people say it's better. In my opinion, it may be one scene too long, but the queue is very cool because you walk through like right by the boats. Once you get inside, the ride itself is very fun. So I think Disneyland's gonna take this one, but they're both amazing.
So one of my favorite rides is right here. It is Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin, and although I love it, sadly Disneyland's gonna take this one. So Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin is a dark shooting ride where you help Buzz defeat the evil Emperor Zurg. It is one of my favorites, and it's similar to the one over in Disneyland, although there's a few stark differences. Mainly the different tech, it's a little bit harder, and the guns are actually free range, so you can actually pick it up and shoot around the room rather than just kind of going back and forth on a swivel, which unfortunately makes it a little bit more fun.
Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind is another like half comparison. Cosmic Rewind this isn't Cosmic Rewind.
No.
Why would you let me say that?
I was embarrassed.
Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout is this tower right here at Avengers Campus. This was actually a re-theme of Tower of Terror. Highly controversial because everybody loved Tower of Terror. But we still have Tower of Terror over in Disney World. So a lot of people think like, oh, as long as the ride is somewhere, you know, worth doing. So now we have Mission Breakout over here, which is widely loved. It is a super fun drop tower attraction that shows you on a breakout mission with the Guardians at the Den of the Collector. It is very dramatic. There's some really awesome tunes, and I'll say, makes you more motion sick than any ride in any Disney park.
I love it. And against all odds, I love this ride.
Yeah, so Emma's so horrified of Tower of Terror and heights and loves Mission Breakout. For me, I love heights, I love drop towers, but the screens on this ride and just the way they work make me very sick. So it's just not for me, but I totally get why people love it. It's super fun. Tower of Terror, obviously also awesome. Super spooky drop tower attraction with randomized drop sequences that really can surprise you. And I definitely get legitimately scared on it every time. Both just amazing attractions, very different and hard to compare at this point, honestly. I'm gonna give them a tie. I just think we shouldn't have to pick.
I think that that's fair. I also think that based on tech alone, Walt Disney World had the better tower, so the better one was saved.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh, for sure. Yeah.
So I have to admit, this is not something that I worked on alone. Quincy and I built this shot list together as we were talking about which is better. Undeniably, unfortunately, this Astral Orbiter is more exciting, although my heart kind of lies with the Disneyland Astral Orbiter because I don't really like this one. However, if we're keeping it objective, this is definitely a win for Walt Disney World's book. The exciting part is that it is actually on top of the People Mover. Now this is the biggest difference between this one and Disneyland's is Disneyland's is on the ground, and that's the only reason I'm partial to it. It goes a little bit faster than your typical Dumbo ride, and because this one is so high, if you have a fear of heights like myself, it is a little bit nerve-wracking. Disneyland's though is on the ground, so for people like me it's a little bit easier, but for the average Joe it's just not as exciting, so Disney World takes this one.
We are headed on Star Tours, which is a Star Wars simulator attraction. This ride is also located in Disney's Hollywood Studios on the other coast.
The glasses are thinner.
The glasses are thinner. That's our first difference. The queue's a little shorter, but that's about it so far.
Hold it right there, Captain.
I'm not actually the captain.
We're looking for this rebel spy. Have you seen them?
No one on this transport could possibly be a spy.
It's the same.
The exact same. I actually had that exact sequence, save for Leia. I had Yoda.
Motion sick.
That's fair. I had Yoda in Disney World, but everything else, exact same.
Although these are different.
Shit. I need to get out of here. Got some warrants out, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh my gosh, Emma. Of course, both have Dumbo, the flying elephant. This one's kind of a toss-up because Disneyland has the nostalgia factor. It's the original Dumbo. For me, it has Timothy Q. Mouse on top, which like
Huge win.
I remember from when I was a little kid and makes me very nostalgic. But Disney Worlds, there are two Dumbos, so waits are pretty short, especially for Disney World where waits are longer. And there's an amazing indoor play area, which makes Dumbo a lot more exciting in Disney World because instead of waiting in line, you get a pager and you can wait in that indoor play area.
So Space Mountain is a dark indoor roller coaster that takes you to space. It is so much fun, and because it is pitch black, there's a lot of surprises in store, and I absolutely adore Disney World. It is one of my favorite rides. It's probably my favorite ride in all of Disney World, but I have to say Disneyland's version is just that much better. So the main difference, in my opinion, is the graphics are a lot brighter over in Disneyland, and in Disneyland you actually can ride side by side rather than kind of in a bobsled style like you do here at Space Mountain Disney World. I just absolutely adore it. The music is more exciting, and they also do something called Hyperspace Mountain, which is when they add some Star Wars overlays to it. So this is a big win for Disneyland and unquestionable in my book.
All right, I've got another weirder comparison that isn't quite like a direct one-to-one. But here in the very back of Cars Land is Radiator Springs Racers. This is one of the most popular rides here at California Adventure. It is so much fun. And the one I'm comparing this to is actually Test Track. They are very similar ride systems with like an indoor-outdoor roller coaster segment. Not really roller coaster, but you drive fast in a car. And this ride is so much more fun than Test Track. One, the theming is just incredible. You speed around and feel like you're actually racing in a Cars car that's alive. You go inside and you see Mater and Lightning McQueen. It's just a delightful ride. It is so much fun and just joyful to be on. I don't even care that much about cars, but I loved this ride. I love this land. So it's a really amazing one. Whereas Test Track is kind of cool. You make your own car, which is interesting, but it's just nothing compared to this. The fast portion can feel a little like, it's really fast and really fun, fastest ride in Disney World, but it's kind of the only exciting part about it, when the inside is sort of like a weird sim track in the grid. It's not actually in the grid, but you get what I mean.
So undoubtedly another Disney World winner is right here, and it's the Carousel of Progress. Now the Carousel of Progress was designed by Walt Disney himself for the 64-65 World's Fair, and it actually lived in Disneyland for a long time until 1973, when it closed to be brought over here to Disney World. But all of that being said, now it's just here, so it definitely wins over here. This is a fan favorite for a reason. It is a slow-moving 20-minute show that takes you through the different decades of progress through one narrator's eyes. It is so much fun. I really enjoy it. It's also super relaxing, and it's dark and in the air conditioning, so major win over here for Disney World.
Mad Tea Party is pretty similar between Disney World and Disneyland. The teacups are a little smaller here, and it's also outdoor with these Alice in Wonderland lanterns. Disney World has a similar theming, but it is also outdoors, but it's covered, and the vibe here, just being in this whole little Alice in Wonderland section, feels a lot more whimsical than Disney World. So we do prefer teacups here.
Best. Now when it comes to riverboats, Disneyland is actually going to take this one, because Disneyland kind of has two in their own way. So they have a full, massive, actual ship that you can ride around, and then they also have their riverboat, the Mark Twain, as well. We have the Liberty Belle over here, and while she is a beautiful, amazing, lovely slow ride around Tom Sawyer Island, having two boats compared to one just gives you a leg up. So Disneyland is absolutely going to take this one.
Disneyland has another winner, and it's a Small World. This is, of course, the very famous, iconic Disney attraction that was first debuted at the 1965 World Fair. It is a beautiful, beautiful ride with the Art of Mary Blair, both in Disney World and Disneyland. But here in Disneyland, it's got an outdoor portion and this amazing facade, where in Disney World, it's all indoors and it's a little bit different. Definitely more grand and spectacular here in Disneyland. So it's gonna have a win here.
Now our point for Disney World is actually going to be the Haunted Mansion. So there is a Haunted Mansion here in Disney World and one over in Disneyland. They both kind of have the same concept, of course. It's a slow-moving dark ride through a Haunted Mansion. You're gonna see some ghosts and ghoulies, but it's more funny than it is scary. However, there's just something about Disney World that is chef's kiss. The entire ride is just so well themed and thought out. It also was created after Disneyland, so any of the kind of kinks they wanted to work out, they were able to do over on this side. The storyline is really well done, and the better part about Disneyland is that they have the Hatbox Ghost, and their facade is better, but guess what we're getting soon? The Hatbox Ghost. So overall, Disney World is really going to take this one. I've actually heard, and I totally agree with this, that a lot of people say if you could put Disneyland facade, the Disneyland Haunted Mansion facade with the Disney World ride, then it would be the perfect combination, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. So, point for you, Walt Disney World.
We are headed into Mickey's Toontown. Now, Mickey's Toontown Fair was a land in Disney World that was supposed to be Mickey and Friends vacation homes. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. I loved Mickey's Toontown Fair as a little kid, and of course it has been gone for many, many years in Disney World. And we are headed into Toontown here, home to one of the rides we are going to talk about, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which is exactly the same as it is in Disney World in Hollywood Studios. But here it has a much better queue. Now, Chippendale's Gadget Coaster, formerly known as Gadget Go Coaster, does not exist in Disney World, but a close approximation to it would be Barnstormer, hosted by the great Goofini. Chippendale's Gadget Coaster has a little bit more elaborate theming than Barnstormer, so it's gonna take the win here, but they are very, very close. And they're both like kid-geared coasters that are a little more fun than you might expect.
So for one of our undecided, we're going to talk about the Jungle Cruise. Now the Jungle Cruise is a slow-moving boat ride that takes you through the different rivers and cruises of the world. It is incredible. It's so much fun, and it's also a little punny because they tell funny jokes and they're also bad jokes, but they make you giggle either way. It's so much fun, and it kind of has that like Disney World, Disneyland touch in both. It's really special in both parks, although they are different. Now this one, you're going to go through some temples. There's going to be a few more jokes that you don't have at Disneyland. Disneyland, you don't go through the temple, but there's different scenes that you don't have here in Disney World. However, that being said, they're not so major that you really notice a huge difference unless you're someone like me who rides the Disney World one constantly.
Now on both coasts, there are some rides that the other coast just doesn't have. For instance, Incredicoaster. Incredicoaster is the Incredibles themed roller coaster here at Disney California Adventure. It is so much fun. It might be my favorite roller coaster I've ever been on. It's just a total blast, and there's nothing that is even close to it in Disney World. Everything in Disney World is like an indoor coaster, a super themed coaster. The most outdoor coaster is Expedition Everest, and that's nothing like this. Incredicoaster is just a really solid steel outdoor classic roller coaster with some amazing Incredibles themed elements. It's so much fun. There's nothing like it in Disney World, so it gives Disneyland some points.
If we're giving a point to Disneyland for Incredicoaster, then you have to give a point over to Walt Disney World for not only Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, but also for our newest roller coaster, Tron. Tron is over in Magic Kingdom, and it is an indoor roller coaster that takes you onto the grid and has an incredible launch. It might be a little bit short, but it's definitely going to give us a point since Disneyland doesn't even have it. And then when it comes to Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind over in Epcot, there is nothing that makes me feel the way that Guardians of the Galaxy does, and I know a lot of people can attest to that. So 2 points for Walt Disney World. To add points onto Disneyland's score, we're going to talk about Big Thunder Mountain. Big Thunder Mountain is an outdoor roller coaster that is the wildest ride in the wilderness. It is an incredible rush. It's so much fun. It's not the craziest roller coaster you're ever going to go on, but it might be one of the most fun. We absolutely love this one over here, but the one in Disneyland is just slightly better in its own way. The graphics are a little bit better, the storyline is a little bit stronger, and it's a slightly longer ride, which we can always appreciate. It's not a huge major difference. Weirdly, I have only ridden it at night, but there is just something in your soul that says, because of this, Disneyland's is better.
Turtle Talk with Crush is another attraction you can find at Disney California Adventure. We do have that one over in Epcot. Exact same attraction. You speak to Crush the Turtle. Pretty cool. They also do have the Animation Academy here, which is similar to the Animation Experience in Animal Kingdom. It's much better here because there's a wide variety of classes. There's a set schedule. There are even different levels, so some of them are advanced. Instead of just kind of heads of easier to draw characters that you can kind of get random in the class. Also, we really like this room. Just a little behind the scenes info. They
Once he tried to kill me.
Once Upon a Dream in the Disney Animation Building. And Emma was singing it, and I came up behind her like Prince Philip does, and we were like dancing like Prince Philip and Aurora.
We thought it was going to be a really romantic twirl.
And then I tried to twirl
She almost ended my life.
And I had this in my hand, and just knock on this for him. I hit her
right on the brim of my hat. Thank the Lord I bought this today.
Change.
This was huge for me. Indiana Jones Adventure is life-changing. And if you didn't know, it actually uses the same track technology as Dinosaur here in Animal Kingdom. So both of them are dark rides. In Dinosaur, you actually go back in time to try to rescue an iguanodon. Things get a little crazy. In Indiana Jones, there is a curse. You're in the temple and you're trying to help Indy find the treasure and get out before you're cursed. There is something special about the Indiana Jones version of this ride. It is longer, the graphics are incredible, there's just an IP that you feel really connected to, Harrison Ford is there, it is incredible, it's so exciting, and it's just, although this ride track is the same, it's a completely different storyline, completely different length, it is incredible. I also have really strong memories as a kid doing it with my family. My uncle and I sat in the front and I thought he was really driving the car. It was a thing, but I loved it. It was so much fun. I still love it to this day. It is my favorite ride in Disneyland. I think Space Mountain could maybe fight for that, but I love it. Dinosaur is also my favorite ride over in Animal Kingdom. It is so much fun. Both are a little bit scary for kiddos, so definitely be aware of that before you hop on either one. Dinosaur is significantly more scary. Dinosaur, absolutely, you're great, you're wonderful, I love you. But you can't be Indiana Jones. So final point for that goes to Disneyland.
Autopia is pretty much the exact same ride as Tomorrowland Speedway, except Autopia is a little bit more exciting. There is a longer track here, and there's a little bit more to see just environmentally at Autopia. I keep wanting to say Autopia because Emma called it Autopia last time we were here, which was just a crazy thing to say.
I was very tired.
We like Autopia better. Regardless, either of these rides, Disney World or Disneyland, ride them at night. They are hot asphalt, loud cars, gas smell during the day. They're just unpleasant in the direct sunlight and the heat. So driving them at night, I think, makes both of these rides a lot more enjoyable. And that's what we're doing. We're gonna do some Autopia. So sorry. Bird!
That's my bird! I love her. She crashed her plane again.
How bird of her.
No, so typical bird. That girl's crazy.
Autopia is just better.
It is just better.
It
with
has bird.
Now, another win for Disneyland Park is actually going to be Soarin'. And technically, it is not in Disneyland. It is actually over in Disney California Adventure, but their Soarin' is just incredible. Now, right now, both of the Soarin' here in Walt Disney World and in Disneyland actually have Soarin' around the world, which is when you kind of go in a flight simulator and you see different major points throughout the world, different icons, if you will. So you see the Eiffel Tower, the Taj Mahal. It's really fun, very exciting, and there's always those special smells. Fiji smell is the best, but Disneyland, during their food and wine over in California Adventure, has the original OG Soarin' Over California. And Soarin' Over California is a trip over California. You see the orange groves, you see Disneyland. There is so many exciting things about Soarin' Over California, and it is an integral memory in my personal life. I will never forget the way that the oranges smelled as a kid. I absolutely adore Soarin' Over California, and because of that, Disneyland is going to take the point for Soarin'.
Another ride that Disney World and Disneyland both have is Toy Story Midway Mania. This is a shooter attraction where you compete in Midway games along with the Toy Story characters. It is very, very fun. It's exactly the same in Disney World and Disneyland. So another tie. They even both have the amazing Mr. Potato Head animatronic. I think maybe the cooler thing is that typically you can walk right up and interact with Mr. Potato Head, but in Disney World you can never do that. He's always midway through the queue. So, get it? Midway through the queue? Midway games. You get it.
So another major win for Disney World is right here, and it's the People Mover. There actually did used to be a People Mover over in Disneyland, and sadly it closed to make way for a new ride that, frankly, I won't get into it, but it just did not work out. So instead of opening the People Mover track back up, they just closed it entirely. You can still see the track at Disneyland today, but unfortunately there's nothing up there. So the People Mover definitely wins for Walt Disney World. If you've never been on it, it is a slow-moving ride that takes you above Tomorrowland and kind of gives you a different point of view. I love it. It's relaxing, and it's just a great place to kind of get out of the crowd. So definitely a major win for Walt Disney World. The Swiss Family Robinson Treehouse. And you might be thinking, why are we talking about that? Well, A, I'm passionate about it, but B, it's actually going to be in both parks very, very soon. So previously it was actually called Tarzan's Treehouse over in Disneyland, and you got to go up inside and see all of it. You can do the same thing here with the Swiss Family Robinson Treehouse. You can climb up the stairs and check it all out. However, they're actually re-theming Tarzan right now to Swiss Family. I honestly can't believe they're doing it, but personally I'm very excited. The brand new Swiss Family Robinson Treehouse will open in Disneyland. It is projected to open right now in 2023, and all of that being said, we can't decide because we don't know what it looks like yet. However, of course, we will give you the full coverage over on the AllEars.net blog as soon as that opens, so make sure to keep an eye out for it.
Now, it's not all about the rides. Another thing we need to compare these two resorts on is their general park experience, and one part of that is character interactions. I will say, from experience at both Disney World and Disneyland, the better character interactions typically exist in Disneyland. One thing that Disneyland does very differently from Disney World is that most of the characters are roaming. You don't necessarily get in line for a meet and greet that's in a set place. You might walk past Captain Hook and Peter Pan dueling in Fantasyland, or the evil queen telling little kids that if they want a picture, she needs to walk with her peasants. Or here in Avengers Campus, you might stumble across who knows who. Roaming here in the past, I've met Thor, Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange, Loki, Spider-Man. I met M'Baku. Like, you see so many characters just roaming, and it feels more natural, it feels more real, it feels more magical. So I do think Disneyland takes the win when it comes to character meet and greets. Another unbelievable meet and greet to be found here in Disneyland are the Cars characters. You can meet Mater and Lightning McQueen. They drive down the street and come and hang out and take photos and chat. It's pretty cool. We don't have anything like that in Disney World. All of our meet and greets, like you can see Lightning McQueen at the Lightning McQueen thing, the Lightning McQueen Racing Academy, but all of our meet and greets are very like you stand in line, you meet the character. It's very straightforward, and there's just not the spontaneity that Disneyland has.
So here in Disney World, when it comes to shows, we have Epcot Forever over in Epcot and Happily Ever After here in Magic Kingdom. Happily Ever After is something that means so much, not just to me, to Disney people, but to cast members, to families who have never been Disney families, but they get here and they watch it. It is incredible. So much so that after Disney retired Happily Ever After initially for the 50th anniversary, they did the 50th anniversary enchantment show. They brought it back. When it comes to Epcot Forever, it is also a great show, although temporary here in Epcot, while Disney prepares for the newest Epcot show that will be coming sometime around 2024. Now, Epcot Forever tells the journey of Epcot. It talks even a little bit about Walt Disney's involvement. You can hear his voice in it. The song is incredible, and it's just a really beautiful connection of what Epcot is and how everything ties all together and what it means for Epcot to continuously evolve.
Shows is an interesting one. You would think Disneyland has Disney World beat for shows. After all, it's located in Anaheim, which is so close to LA, aka Hollywood, baby. So you think shows would kind of be on lock here, but are they? The best shows in Disneyland include Avengers Headquarters, which is the stunt show in Avengers Campus. Otherwise, shows are kind of small scale here. There's nothing really that exciting. There's the Storytellers and the Tale of the Lion King, which are super fun. But Disney World has oodles, dare I say, oodles of amazing shows. Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular, Beauty and the Beast live on stage, the Frozen sing-along, the Castle Show in Magic Kingdom, Festival of the Lion King, Finding Nemo, Big Blue and Beyond, even Feathered Friends in Flight, the Bird Show in Animal Kingdom, and then tons of live entertainment in Epcot as well.
To add on to Disney World's points, let's chat about the Country Bear Jamboree. So the Country Bear Jamboree is a wild and woolly good time. If you haven't heard, it is an incredible little show where the country bears, as animatronics, sing some fun songs. It's really goofy, it's silly. I have a great time every time I'm there. Now, the reason why Country Bears is just so much better over here in Walt Disney World is because it's only here in Walt Disney World. It used to be over in Disneyland as well. However, in 2001, it actually closed to make way for the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. But that means that we automatically win. And I'm not upset that I live closest to the Country Bears. Now, I do think it's a crime that it's not on both coasts, but I'll take this Walt Disney World win.
So Fantasmic is one that's really on the fence. Now, during my visit, Fantasmic is not currently available in Disneyland. Fantasmic is a multimedia stage show with live performers. You'll see beloved characters. There are stunts, amazing choreography and effects and lasers and magic and dragons. It's an absolutely amazing show, one of the most amazing and long-lived shows that Disney puts on. It performs in Hollywood Studios, in Walt Disney World, and in Disneyland. However, it is currently unavailable in Disneyland Park because the dragon did catch on fire. But they are working on it, and it's expected to reopen in spring of 2024. So we're still going to compare them here. This one is definitely one that people are on the fence about. I know for me, I prefer Disney World's Fantastic, but a lot of people prefer Disneyland's. You're going to have to let us know in the comments which is better. I honestly think they both have their merits. I wish Disney World's had that pirate stunt scene like nobody's business. Because Disneyland is located in Anaheim, this park is a touch more limited on nighttime spectaculars than Disney World is. You can kind of do whatever you want in Florida, shoot off really big fireworks every night that can be seen for miles and miles around. In Anaheim, there are agreements and ordinances with the city that mean Disneyland can't do that. That being said, there are fireworks here. Currently, at the time of filming, Wondrous Journeys is the nighttime spectacular here, with projections on Sleeping Beauty Castle and some nights, fireworks. There's also World of Color over at California Adventure, which is a fountain water show that is amazing. I think Disney World has nighttime spectaculars on lock, just because they can do them bigger, and that's not Disneyland's fault. But Disney World can just do them bigger. And bigger is better when it comes to something called a spectacular.
So both versions of Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room take you into an enchanted tiki room where you meet some friends who are, maybe they're birds, and they're singing to you along with flowers and the tikis in the room. It's so fun, it's so incredible, and it's kind of quintessentially Walt Disney Imagineering in my opinion. Now, both versions are incredible, and they're honestly not that different, hardly at all. There is one major difference that I have seen in my experience doing both of them, and that is in Disneyland, they actually take the time to teach you the words to the song, which I think is a lot of fun. It gets the guests really involved, but the main reason that this one wins over in Disneyland is because it was an original. Walt Disney made it there, he invented it, it was supposedly a favorite of his wife's as well, so the Disneyland version just has to take the cake on this. Anything that Walt had a hand in personally, we have to give it to Walt.
All right, Mickey's Still Her Magic we have in Magic Kingdom. It is a delightful 3D show, exactly the same here in Disneyland. They even have the addition of the Coco scene, just like we do over in Disney World. So another tie there. All right, we're about to watch Magic Happens, which is the parade that currently happens in Disneyland. We are so excited because we've both seen videos of this. The day this parade debuted, I watched the video that our reporters got 15 times.
I only watched one, and as soon as I saw how good the first clip was, I didn't watch another one because I cannot wait to see this in person.
So we're directly comparing this to the Disney World Parade right now, which is Festival of Fantasy. I think it's time. Let's talk holidays. When it comes to the holidays, specifically the winter holidays, but also Halloween, you're going to see a lot more extensive decoration here in Disneyland than you are going to in Disney World. Also, Disneyland has a lot more available during regular park hours to celebrate the holidays. They've got holiday treats available during the park hours. Christmas time parades are available during the park hours. Christmas time performances. There's ride overlays. For instance, for both Halloween and Christmas time, Haunted Mansion gets the overlay to Haunted Mansion Holiday. Small World. It's a Small World holiday. And these ride overlays are available to all guests who are visiting during the time of those holidays. One of the only ticketed after-hours events that Disneyland does that is holiday-specific is Oogie Boogie Bash over at California Adventure. Oogie Boogie Bash, I have never been, but it is widely considered an amazing event. Tons of food, tons of spooky fun. And that event is kind of likened to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party over in Disney World. People who have been to both tend to say Oogie Boogie Bash is better, but folks also love Mickey's Not So Scary. The thing to note about Disney World, though, is that with those ticketed after-hour events, which they do have, one for Halloween and two for Christmas, Jollywood Nights coming this year for the first time at Hollywood Studios, and Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party at Magic Kingdom. Those after-hour ticketed events are amazing. They can be awesome. They're expensive, and those holiday offerings that happen during those events are often not available during the day to regular park guests. So the stuff that is available to regular park guests is kind of some limited snack options and viewing the Christmas decorations, but a lot of the holiday entertainment and everything is reserved exclusively for those after-hours parties, which I really like Disneyland's approach better of having more holiday available for more guests, more times of day.
Now, another major difference that you can find in Disneyland versus Disney World outside of rides and park experiences is the food. And as a self-proclaimed foodie, this part is really important to me. Now, in Disneyland, there are roughly 125 different restaurants, but Disney World has a whopping 400-ish. We have to say 400-ish. Disney World's always changing and adding, and honestly, this could be wrong in an hour because it's always growing, but right now it's 400-ish restaurants. Now, there's no really question in my mind that Disneyland has better food at base. The snack stands, the quick service, the seasonal snacks, etc., just the quality is much higher.
Now, at base, we're of the opinion that Disneyland has better food. If you're walking up to a snack stand in Disneyland, you are going to get much better food than walking up to a snack stand in Disney World. Our favorite quick services in Disneyland blow our favorite quick services in Disney World out of the water. I dream of the day we get Bengal barbecue in Disney World. I don't think it'll ever happen, but I can dream. Just the base food here is much, much better. The base treats, the base eats. I mean, think about the churro thing. Everyone says you eat Disneyland churros, you don't eat Disney World churros. Why do you think that is? Because the churros are better. They make them fresh. So Disneyland just in general has much better base food. They also have more exciting seasonal snacks that we're always jealous of over on the East Coast. Now that said, Disney World has way more variety when it comes to the restaurants you can eat at. About 3 times the variety. And with that variety, there's also a higher ceiling to what you can eat in Disney World. Here, when you're looking at fine dining, you're pretty much going to be limited to like Napa Rose over at Grand Californian. But in Disney World, there's tons of fine dining options with signature restaurants and even the AAA 5-Diamond award-winning Victoria and Albert's. So really high ceiling on restaurants in Disney World. You're going to get finer dining, more expensive, more fancy, but then also just such a wide variety in different cuisines, different levels of cuisines, James Beard award-winning chefs all over Disney Springs. There's a lot more variety going on in Disney World. And you can't really have a conversation about Disney theme parks in this day and age without talking about planning and the pace of them. Disney theme parks all around the world have gotten progressively more complicated over the years with the additions of new technologies and new offerings, and that is of course true for Disneyland and Disney World. Now, Disney World is a lot more complicated to plan than Disneyland. Disney World has 4 parks, way more hotels to choose from, and a little bit more of a tricky mix of in-park offerings. On top of that, Disney World's just really spread out. So even planning around travel, understanding how to get around Disney World creates more of a problem than Disneyland does, where you can literally walk to anywhere in the resort in a matter of minutes. Now that said, Disneyland has less to choose from, but it isn't necessarily easy to plan compared to how a Disneyland vacation used to be. Typically, to make the most of a Disneyland vacation, you still need to have the Disneyland app, familiar yourself with Genie Plus in case you want to use it, familiar yourself with individual lightning lanes, be able to keep an eye on those wait times on your tip board, and be able to connect your hotel reservation to that ticket so that you can use perks like early entry. There's not nearly as many rides as included in Genie, so it kind of just alleviates some pressures on the park without becoming a must-have tool to ride almost every attraction like it is in Disney World. You just need more time and or strategy in Disney World to get around and get to everything you want to do in most cases. This makes Disney trips feel a bit more hectic and more difficult to plan on the East Coast. But Disneyland can be hectic too, especially if you don't have enough time to get through everything you want to do or are staying off property.
So honestly, when it comes to Walt Disney World versus Disneyland, it really just depends on what you want. Both parks have things that are really unique and special to them. Both have some pluses, and honestly, both are great, so you can't go wrong at either place. If you guys like this video, go ahead and like and subscribe. Now go watch us attempt to ride every single ride and do every single attraction in Disneyland in one day. I'll see you there.